August 14th, 2023, 11:47 a.m. Zaporizhia Oblast, 22 kilometers from front line. A Ukrainian M777 Howitzer fires 3 rounds. Target Russian positions 28 kilometers away. Standard fire mission. Crew executes. Loads. Fires. Displaces. Doctrine says move within 3 minutes. Crew knows this. Begins shutdown immediately. But 37 kilometers away, Russian operator watches screen. Lancet 3 loitering munition has been circling for 90 minutes. Waiting. Watching. The M777 just revealed itself. Operator doesn't fire immediately. Watches. Waits. M777 crew attaches howitzer to truck. Begins towing. Moving to alternate position. 400 meters away. Standard displacement. But Lancet is still watching. Still circling. 2,000 meters altitude. 6-hour endurance. It can wait. And waiting is what makes Lancet different from every other weapon. It doesn't just strike. It hunts. At 11:54 a.m., 7 minutes after initial firing, M777 reaches new position. Crew begins setup. Uncouples from truck. Prepares to resume operations. Thinks they're safe. They displaced per doctrine. 3 minutes. Should be untargetable. Except Lancet followed. Watched entire movement. Knows exactly where they are. Operator decides, now. Lancet dives. M777 crew sees it. Too late. Impact. Warhead detonates. Howitzer destroyed. 3 crew casualties. This is military report. And what just happened wasn't lucky strike. It was patient hunt. Where a weapon doesn't shoot at first opportunity. Waits for optimal moment, follows target through displacement, eliminates it when vulnerable. That's not artillery. That's not missile. That's predator. And when weapon becomes predator that circles for hours, waiting for perfect shot, every assumption about safety and displacement doctrine becomes obsolete. The question isn't whether Lancet is effective. Hundreds of destroyed Ukrainian vehicles prove it is. Question is how you defend against weapon that doesn't attack immediately. That waits. That watches. That circles invisibly at 2,000 meters for 6 hours. And whether traditional counter-battery doctrine, shoot and move, works when enemy weapon moves with you. Watching. Waiting. Until you stop. Official Ukrainian statements about Lancet. Growing concern. Effective Russian weapon system. No detailed casualty figures. But pattern is clear. Artillery losses increasing. Not from counter-battery fire. From loitering munitions that hunt them. Doctrine that worked against conventional threats fails against patient predator. Adaptation is ongoing. But Lancet evolves too. Arms race where defender is always reacting. Russian statements, triumphant. Propaganda value is immense. Videos of Lancet strikes circulate constantly. Each shows perfect dive, perfect impact, perfect destruction. Narrative is powerful. Russian precision strikes eliminate Ukrainian weapons. Reality is more complex. But narrative drives morale, drives production, drives tactical evolution. Stay with me. Because the detail that explains why Lancet is revolutionary, why loitering munition fundamentally changes battlefield dynamics, is going to show you that patience is weapon. When threat doesn't attack immediately, defenses optimized for immediate attack fail. Shoot and scoot doctrine assumes threat responds to firing. Lancet doesn't respond. It waits. Follows. Strikes when crew thinks they're safe. That psychological dimension is as important as explosive warhead. Let's establish what Lancet actually is. Technology, capability, evolution, Zala Lancet 3, Russian loitering munition, development 2019, deployment 2021, widespread use 2022 present, design, delta wing configuration, pusher propeller, electric motor, quiet, hard to hear until close. Wingspan, 1.6 meters. Weight, 12 kilograms. Warhead, 3-5 kilograms depending on variant. Cumulative shaped charge. Effective against armor and fortified positions. Endurance, 30-40 minutes for Lancet 1, 60 minutes for Lancet 3, up to 6 hours for extended range variants. This endurance is key. Most weapons attack immediately. Lancet can circle, wait, watch, hunt. That transforms it from munition to predator. Guidance, electro-optical camera. Operator views real-time video feed. Manual control throughout flight. Human in the loop. This is critical, not autonomous. Operator makes decisions. Identifies targets. Times attack. Human judgment combined with weapon persistence creates hunting capability no autonomous system matches. Range, 40-70 kilometers depending on variant. Launch from ground vehicle or fixed position. Climbs to altitude. Cruises to target area. Begins patrol pattern. Circles. Watches. Waits for targets to reveal themselves. When target identified, operator guides into terminal dive. 80-degree angle. High speed. Minimal time for reaction. Cost. Estimated $30,000, $50,000 per munition. Expensive compared to artillery shell. Cheap compared to guided missile. But cost per successful kill matters more. If Lancet destroys 3 million Howitzer, cost-exchange ratio is 100.1. Economics favor attacker overwhelmingly. Compared to other loitering munitions, Israeli Harop, American Switchblade, Turkish Kargu, all have similar concept. But Lancet has deployment scale Ukraine doesn't match. Russia produces them in quantities that create persistent threat. Hundreds circling daily. That persistence is what changes battlefield. Not occasional strikes. Constant hunting pressure. August 14th. The hunt. What crew experienced in 7 minutes? 11:45 a.m. Ukrainian M777 crew in firing position. Mission received. Fire 3 rounds at Russian infantry position 28 kilometers away. Standard counter-battery mission. Crew has done this hundreds of times. Knows procedures. Knows risks. Counter-battery radar. Reconnaissance drones. 3-minute displacement window. Everything standard. Except they don't know Lancet has been circling overhead for 90 minutes. Waiting for exactly this. 11:47 a.m. First round fires. Lancet operator 37 kilometers away sees muzzle flash on camera. Zooms in. Identifies M777. Target. High value. Artillery is priority. Operator doesn't attack. Watches. Waits. M777 fires second round. Third round. Mission complete. Crew begins displacement procedures. Operator continues watching. No attack. Just observation. Following. Crew hitches Howitzer to truck. This takes 2 minutes. Standard. Fast. By doctrine, they're within safe window. Counter-battery fire takes 3 to 5 minutes. They'll be gone by then. Doctrine accounts for conventional threats. Doesn't account for loitering munition that's been watching for 90 minutes. That followed them from previous position. That knows their patterns. 11:49 a.m. M777 begins movement. Drives 400 meters to alternate position. Pre-selected. Scouted. Good firing position. Good cover. Good escape routes. Everything by doctrine. Truck and Howitzer move together. Lancet follows. Circles. Maintains altitude. Maintains distance. Invisible. Inaudible. Just watching. Waiting. 11:52 a.m. Arrival at new position. Crew uncouples Howitzer. Begins setup. Returns truck to covered position. Standard procedures. Everything correct. They think they're safe. Displaced within 3 minutes. No counter-battery fire arrived. Position is secure. They're wrong. Lancet operator watches setup. Waits for crew to be exposed. Clustered around Howitzer. Maximum casualties. Maximum psychological impact. Not just destroy weapon. Destroy crew. Make survivors afraid. Make everyone who hears about it afraid. That's psychological warfare. Integrated into tactical weapon. 11:54 a.m. Operator decides. Attack now. Crew is exposed. Gun is stationary. Perfect shot. Lancet transitions from circle to dive, 80-degree angle, 300 meters altitude, 5 seconds to impact. Some crew members hear buzzing. Look up. See delta wings. Diving. Too late to run. Too late to take cover. Just seconds to process what's happening. Impact. Shaped charge warhead. Penetrates howitzer shield. Detonates inside. Fragmentation. Overpressure. 3 crew members killed immediately. 4 wounded. Howitzer destroyed. Not repairable. Total loss. Truck survives, but crew is shattered. Physically. Psychologically. They did everything right. Followed doctrine perfectly. Still died. That's the horror of Lancet. Doing everything right isn't enough when Predator is patient. This scenario repeats. Daily. Across entire front. Different targets. Same pattern. Lancet circles. Waits. Watches. Strikes when target is vulnerable. Artillery. Command vehicles. Radar systems. Anything worth destroying. And patience makes every strike more effective, because targets don't expect attack after displacement. Let guard down. Cluster together. Make themselves vulnerable. Lancet exploits this ruthlessly. Now the strategic analysis. What loitering munition means for warfare. Doctrinal obsolescence. Shoot and scoot assumes threat responds to firing. Counter-battery radar tracks trajectory. Calculates origin. Fires back. Artillery displaces before return fire arrives. This works against conventional threats. Doesn't work against loitering munition that was already watching before first shot. That follows through displacement. That waits until crew thinks they're safe. Doctrine is obsolete. But armies don't rewrite doctrine quickly. So casualties accumulate while institutional learning catches up. Psychological pressure, knowing Lancet might be circling changes behavior. Artillery crews rush. Make mistakes. Skip procedures. Reduce effectiveness to reduce exposure time. Or they hesitate. Don't fire when they should. Both responses degrade capability. That's psychological warfare. Weapon doesn't need to attack. Just needs to be there. Possibility is weapon itself. Tactical adaptation requirements. Counter Lancet requires multiple changes. Shoot from covered positions. Electronic warfare against control signals. Air defense against low-slow targets. All simultaneously. This disperses resources. Increases complexity. Reduces effectiveness of every system because each must account for Lancet threat. That dispersion is strategic victory for Russia. Forces Ukraine to defend everywhere. Concentrates Ukrainian forces nowhere. Economic attrition. Lancet costs $30,000, $50,000. M777 costs $3 million. Artillery shells cost $2,000 to $5,000 each. Load in destroyed M777 might be $50,000 in ammunition. Cost ratio, 100.1 minimum. This is sustainable for Russia. Mass produce Lancets at scale. Even if only 10% achieve kills, economics favor attacker. Ukraine can't replace M777s as fast as Russia builds Lancets. Attrition warfare where economics determine outcome. Proliferation implications. Lancet demonstrates loitering munition effectiveness. Other nations are watching, developing, deploying. This becomes new normal. Every conflict will feature loitering munitions. Not optional. Inevitable. Because effectiveness is proven. Technology is accessible. Economics are favorable. Proliferation is guaranteed. Future battlefields will have constant drone presence. Circling. Watching. Waiting. That's permanent change. 3 questions from the beginning. Time to answer them. How do you hide from drone that never leaves? You don't hide. You kill it. Electronic warfare. Air defense. Physical camouflage helps but isn't sufficient. Must actively defeat weapon. This requires resources, training, doctrine. Ukraine is developing all 3, but development takes time. Meanwhile, Lancets kill. every day. That time lag costs lives and equipment. Eventually, adaptation succeeds, but eventually is measured in months. During months, hundreds die. Why does loitering munition change battlefield dynamics? Because patience is weapon. Immediate threats trigger immediate responses. Threat that waits bypasses those responses, finds gaps, exploits moments of vulnerability, constant resource expenditure, constant stress, all of which degrade combat effectiveness even without Lancet attacking. Presence is weapon. Patience is weapon. That's new dynamic conventional forces struggle against. Can traditional military adapt to persistent aerial surveillance with strike capability? Yes, but slowly. Institutional military culture resists rapid change. Doctrine changes are slow. Procurement is slower. By time adaptation is complete, threat has evolved. This creates permanent lag. Attacker always ahead. Defender always behind. This gap cannot close while attacker controls tempo of innovation. Only way to close gap is military itself adopts rapid innovation culture. Most don't, can't, won't. So gap persists. Casualties accumulate. The lesson from Lancet is that weapon persistence matters more than weapon power. Guided missile has more explosive, faster speed, but attacks once and is gone. Lancet circles for hours, multiple chances to strike, can wait for perfect moment. That patience multiplies effectiveness beyond what warhead size suggests. And psychological impact of knowing predator circles overhead is immeasurable. Changes behavior, degrades capability, creates fear, all without firing. That's strategic weapon, not just tactical. This is Military Report. We analyze battles that define wars. Lancet defines modern battlefield where persistent surveillance combines with strike capability to create hunting weapon, where targets can't hide by moving. Because predator follows, watches, waits. That's warfare evolution most militaries aren't prepared for. Because preparation requires admitting conventional doctrine is obsolete. Institutions resist that admission until casualties force it. The M777 crew that died August 14th did everything correctly, followed procedures, displaced on time, chose good position, still died, because doctrine written for conventional threats fails against unconventional one. That's not their failure. That's institutional failure that killed them, and will kill more, until institutions adapt, change doctrine, train differently, equip appropriately, all of which takes time. Meanwhile, Lancet's circle, watch, wait, strike, daily. Subscribe to Military Report. Because in modern warfare, the threat that waits is deadlier than threat that attacks immediately. Lancet proved this. Patient predator defeats fast-moving target when predator has 6-hour endurance. That's weapon revolution most militaries haven't absorbed. Because absorption requires changing how they think about threats, about doctrine, about defense. Change is hard. Death is easy. Lancets are patient. Questions aren't whether they'll strike. When? Where? Against whom? All answered same way. When target is most vulnerable. Where defense is weakest. Against whoever reveals themselves. Patience determines everything. 6 hours endurance. 40-kilometer range. Circling at 2,000 meters. Watching. Waiting for target to expose itself. That's Lancet. Not just weapon. Predator. And battlefields are now hunting grounds where artillery, radar, command posts are prey. Hide or die. Except hiding is impossible when hunter has 6 hours to wait. That's new reality. Adaptation is mandatory, but slow. Meanwhile, hunters circle, and prey dies. If you think loitering munitions represent future of all strike warfare, type Military Report in comments. If you think point defense can counter persistent aerial hunting, tell me how. Because current countermeasures are inadequate. Lancet circle. Ukraine tries. Both sides lose. But Russia produces more Lancets than Ukraine destroys. Mathematics is clear. Trend is clear. Outcome is determined unless something changes. What changes is question. When is another. How many die waiting for answers is third. Real battles. Real tactics. Real consequences. Stay informed.